everyone. So today we're going to be taking a look at a new part of speech, and this new part of speech tends to be more confusing. And the reason for that is that it can seem unpredictable. It can modify other parts of speech. And so if you don't have a solid understanding of other parts of speech, then it can make this one really hard to identify. In today's video, we're going to be talking about adverbs. So like I said, adverbs tend to be more complex. You need to be able to identify other parts of speech to even locate the adverb that you're looking for. Adverbs are a word or phrase that modifies or qualifies an adjective, verb, or other adverb, or a word group expressing a relation of place, time, manner, frequency, and degree. I'm going to be completely honest. I used to struggle with adverbs. They were not my favorite part of speech, and I like this stuff. I like grammar, I like writing, but for some reason this was always really difficult for me. And so I figured out that there were 3 rules that I needed to follow to find these. So I'm going to go ahead and share those rules with you, and we'll apply them when we're practicing on these different subcategories. Alright, here are the rules that I use. There are 3. Rule number 1 of how to identify adverbs. Find the verb, adjective, or adverb. You have to locate what is being modified. If you can't locate that part of speech, then you're not going to have a lot of luck finding your adverb. So 2, you need to ask the appropriate question, and I will get to that in a little bit. 3, the answer to number 2 is your adverb. Once you ask the question, answering that question gives you the adverb. Let's go ahead and break those down into our 5 subcategories. Our 5 subcategories of adverbs are place, time, manner, frequency, and degree. And I know that can seem confusing, but the main reason we're breaking those down in those ways is so we can ask the appropriate question. Let me go into that. Let's go ahead and discuss place first. Place. This is where something happens. So if I offer the sentences, please sit here, or they looked everywhere, or the boys played outside, those are some sentences. Let's follow the rules to locate our adverbs. Rule number 1 is find the verb, adjective, or adverb. We do not have any adjectives. We do not have any other adverbs that would modify to find another adverb, so we're left with verbs, so we need to locate the verbs first. So our verbs in these sentences would be please sit here, being sit, they looked everywhere, looked, the boys played outside, played. So now we've identified the verbs that are being modified. We have to ask the question for place, where something happened. So where did these verbs take place? Where did people sit? The answer would be here. Here is our adverb. Same thing for sentence 2 and sentence 3. Where did they look? Everywhere is the answer. That's the adverb. Where did the boys play? Outside. That's the adverb. So again, just from the subcategory, it's going to let you know what question needs to be asked. Let's take a look at another subcategory. Time informs us when something is done or occurs. So if we have sentences like she died yesterday or last week the manatee swam, we need to ask the question when something is done or occurs. It has to do with time. So the first thing we need to do is find the verb, adjective, or adverb. You're going to notice that a lot of times adverbs are going to modify verbs, but be aware that adjectives are normally the second most popular, followed by other adverbs. So for she died yesterday, when did she die?
Yesterday
Is the answer and the adverb. Last week the manatee swam. When did the manatee swim? Last week is our adverb. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the 3rd out of our 5 categories. Manner answers the question how. Okay, so if we have the sentences, he speaks slowly, she drives fast, again, follow our rules. Find the verb, adjective, or adverb. Here we have verbs again. What's going on? So in sentence 1, speaks would be our verb. In sentence 2, drives is our verb. Ask the appropriate question. Okay, we need to ask how for manner. How did he speak? Slowly is our answer. How did she drive? Fast. The fourth subcategory is frequency. It answers how often or how frequent something is done. So if we have the sentences, I sometimes forget my book for class, or I seldom read the newspaper, or I rarely drink soda, again, what is being modified? You'll notice that we are dealing with verbs again. Let's locate the verbs. I sometimes forget my book for class. Forget. I seldom read the newspaper. Read. I rarely drink soda. Drink. All right, so we've found the verbs being modified. Let's ask the appropriate question for frequency. How often or how frequent? How often do I forget my book? Sometimes. How often do I read the newspaper? Seldom. How often do I drink soda? Rarely. So again, it's just figuring out what those subcategories are and then the appropriate questions, how to answer those appropriately. All right, last one, number 5. Degree. This one can be confusing at times. Degree is the last and final subcategory of adverbs. Degree answers how much something is done or happens. This one tends to lean more towards adjectives being modified. In the sentences, it was too dark, or she is quite ill, or I am very tired, you're going to notice there aren't a lot of verbs here. So if it's not modifying verbs, what else could it modify? It's modifying adjectives, so we need to locate some adjectives in these sentences. It was too dark. Okay, dark is our adjective. She is quite ill. Ill can be an adjective. I am very tired. Tired can describe how I am, so tired would be our adjective. Ask the appropriate question for degree. How much? How dark is it? Too dark. Okay, so too would be our adverb. She is quite ill. How ill? Quite ill. Quite would be our adverb. I am very tired. How much are you tired? How tired are you? Very would be our adverb. Go ahead and pause your screen real quick and answer this quick question. Number 1, what are the 5 subcategories of adverbs? Number 2, what are the rules? There are 3 of them of how to locate an adverb. And then number 3, it has 5 parts to it. You need to write me a sentence for each subcategory of adverbs. So there should be 5 for place, time, manner, frequency, and degree. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you write down those questions, make sure you bring in those answers, and don't be afraid to learn. Bye guys.